What's up with the God,
Peace
man?
to the
How my
God.
brother
Peace
doing?
to the
Peace
God.
to the God, man.
Yes, indeed.
Salute, salute, salute,
How's my good,
man.
good brother?
Man, I'm magnificent, man. Just came off a quick sweat, man, coming out the gym. You know what I mean? Feeling God body. But
Absolutely.
I was having so many downloads in the gym, I couldn't focus. You
Hey,
know?
sometimes it be like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you are in the download hours.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, God damn, man. I got some stuff I need. Tell me get the hell out of here. I got stuff I
So
need to do.
you were right on time, right? I'm having this conversation about life equity. You know, the deep dives that I have been doing into studying copyright, into studying publishing and studying royalties, ownership on another level.
Yeah.
And this particular, I had went to a symposium this past weekend, and there was a copyright expert there, this young lady, and ironically, she's over the Isaac Hayes catalog,
Mm.
and she spoke about, how the father, you know, handled his business and got his things intact. And she's responsible for that catalog, executing the catalog and canceling the copyrights where they need to and renewing them, X, Y, and Z. Said that the brother got 300 unreleased songs still in the catalog, you know? Um, and she was just speaking about the importance of content creators, specifically melanated ones, right? She kept saying that they don't know business. They have not really fully grasped the business of the music business, even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
She spoke to the fact that after Takeoff's transition, she had a conversation with Offset, and even them seeing Takeoff's stuff going to probate. These young men have millions of dollars and they don't have no trust,
Yeah.
right? They didn't even leave. He didn't even leave a will,
Mm.
let alone a trust. You know, you having this opportunity and this platform, where these ears are accessible, right? Even if you don't speak to them directly. And I have I've seen what you've been doing the last few days, right? Shout out to my brother Pop Darby as well. Unprecedented the way that you are getting in front of the narrative and utilizing your platform to be responsible, to have a responsible conversation, even if it's an uncomfortable one right
Mm.
now. You're the one, right? That all yesterday I was like, I gotta speak to brother because of the juxtaposition. We're in Scorpio season, right? Because it hit me yesterday when I saw BTC go to its all-time high, and I realized because of my Facebook memories that 2 years ago to the day is when Sam Fry Bankman got snatched up.
Mm.
Now Sam Fry Bankman, and when FTX, I believe, was his situation, Bitcoin had its worst day
Mm.
because of that. So 2 years later to the date, and then that was tied to the Taurus or the Scorpio full moon that happened in Taurus season, which was of May of 22. That's when they snatched Young Thug.
Mm.
And that was when Luna tanked, right? The Luna coin, it was the Terra USD and Luna. Both of them tanked. And then right after that, that was tethered because it was it was called a Scorpio Taurus axis, a sex, money, murder. Now, Taurus is money, but it's big money, it's banking money, it's Bitcoin money, it's 80 billion, it's stuff like that. But it's also values. So then I stepped back and I looked at, the fact that we in Scorpio season and this whole election was one based on values,
Mm.
right? And going forward, the conversation has to be based on values. So you started initiating this conversation in public about values. And I'm like, my brother's a Taurus, right? And then I also, what do we see today, baby? What's the doctor's name? Dr. Bryant, right? She was on the Breakfast Club.
Mm.
She was talking about values as it pertains to relationships, right? This return concept to the high value man and things of that nature. Now, Kevin Samuels, who started that, also a Taurus,
Oh, word.
right? Who transitioned in Taurus season, holding the Red Bull, all of that Taurian energy, right? So people that are operating and showing up specifically in their cosmic role for this time that we're in, this unprecedented time, this magnanimous, wonderful time, right? There's nothing else but vaingloriousness to say about the time that we're in, because you have been packaged, prepared, and presented for this particular time.
Mm.
This is what we all signs up for. You know what I mean? So I just wanted you to speak to very quickly, if you can, value and what can be said to individuals who might not necessarily see either value in themselves, value in the body politic that they belong to, right? So we belong to this beautiful melanated diasporic body politic, right? Not just one that exists here in the quote unquote states, but there's 6 regions that you can identify and find us around the planet. So going forward, how can we capture that value, and how can that value assist us in rebranding the brand of blackness, which is received as Black Eye?
Ooh. Well, first of all, your positioning is immaculate,
Yeah.
bar none on this planet.
Oh,
But
okay. Somebody corrected me. Samuels was a Pisces. He transitioned in Taurus season,
okay,
holding a Red Bull. Yeah.
okay, I see that. So it's the conversation about values is a direct conversation upon the root of culture, because a culture is this collective value that is built upon. And that has been a broader conversation as we went into the 50th anniversary of hip hop. It was a realization that hip hop has lost all its values. And within that, right, you realize that that being the mainstay of the culture's most influential assets, then black people in America have also lost their values, right? And this election being a reflection of that, right? Because you have one candidate who lied about their values. Maybe both of them lied, to be honest. But one believes that on one side, people believe that one candidate is more transparent, at least that they could believe that either they're being. Hold on, let me check these headphones out.
it's it's interesting
That's
the
a lot better.
juxtaposition between Kamala and Donald Trump, right? Because with Donald Trump, people believe that he's the devil that he say he is, right? And people believe that Kamala was faking values for a vote, right? So what we seen was that the Democrats have went so fucking left, right? So far left, because we always talk about radical right. We never talk about radical left.
Mm,
And we seen black women go along with the radical left. And we seen the black bourgeoisie and the boule go along with the radical left, which was more so them sacrificing their values. Because when a person's saying sacrificing your soul, that's what we're saying. We're saying you sacrificing your values and your ethics for something else that's not worth the same amount, right? And it's that imbalance that puts you in hell. So Black America has been in hell because we sacrificed our values of family, which
mm,
family goes directly to our relationship with black men and women. So when we look at podcasts and having conversations about our disconnect, and we talk about how the white man destroyed the family, right? We're saying how he destroyed the relationship between black men and women, right? But we never look at that root of that, right? We what we're literally saying is that our relationship with black women is terrible, right? And the relationship, with black men have with women is just devastated. So how do we then get back to that? One would have to then go learning how to, number one, have a better attitude towards self and a better attitude towards each other, because attitude creates your disposition towards things. It affects how you feel about things, right? And it either attracts you or repel you of things. And this culture has been repelling our own progress because of our lack of values, right? So if you look at coming from Japan, what I've seen was what they value the most above anything is family and group thinking, because they don't want to shame the family. So
mm.
that if we have the same values, if somebody start to act outside of those values, then they bring shame to the family,
So,
right?
yeah.
So it's a collective philosophy that we lack right now. But how did they build their collective philosophy? They sacrificed money for almost 200 years in order to bring in, and when I say money, I mean their economic growth. So they went through a period of economics stagnation while they
Hmm.
was going through cultural progress, because they had to solidify the Bushido right? Which is the collective ideas of their greatest shogun and warriors and monks, right? As their Bible that they gave to their people. But we have how many Bibles? How many different versions of Islam? How many
Is yeah.
Hebrews, Israelites? We don't have a collective philosophy that we agree upon is the way forward. So now with the individualism, everybody has their individual values of what they believe is right or wrong. And
Right.
they could be right or wrong depending on their world and their universe. But your values can be disrespectful to somebody else, which create a consistent entropy because you can't bring order, right? When
Right.
everybody has their own individualism. You can only bring order when there's a group think that people can be held to because there's a standard of values that we collectively agree upon. And if you step outside of that, then you are now shamed and you're no longer in that membership of people who agree to this collective of values.
Right. At what point did melanated people start shifting left of conservative values? Because traditionally, we have always been conservative with our values.
Mm. I think that there was not a one point in time. I think there was a few decades that it degraded over time, and it wasn't just black people; it was American society, right? American society. This election was wholly about what is America anymore, right? Because the
Mhm.
American dream and patriotism was at an all time low because people didn't know what the flag represented anymore, right? So at the first degree of just saying, "Hey, I'm a man and you a woman," that shouldn't be political. That should be easy. But it was so radical, and radical mean to the root. So when you saying there's a radical left, they mean they went to the root of self-identity and destroyed that, right? To where just a man believing he's a man is now a radical idea, right? So within that, the fabric of America, built upon so-called Masonic, of course, but also Christian values as an idea, had been completely destroyed away. So not only as America as a whole lost its value system, and one can say that comes from propaganda of outside influence and inside influence, right? So if you look at Yuri, what's his name, Yuri Begershoff, he was the Russian defect, and he gave the breakdown on how you demoralize a society, and he said it take 2 generations to do that,
Mhm.
right? It takes 2 generations for a consistent demoralization through media, through over sexualization, right? And they say America could never have balance because it allows outside influence,
Mm.
right? Easily to come in and to give ideas to the people. The Japanese, they had a whole program. You can't just come in the economy and sell something. You can't bring an idea over there. No, you get
Right.
shunned the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Like they done with you. So that was
Hold
the
on, hold on.
biggest thing is that Black
Smart guy, I
America never,
got you, bro. I got you, smart. Let the brother.
yeah, subversion. But you
Yeah.
can't subvert a people that won't allow you to come in and influence them. But Black America has been subverted by every group because we became interconnected. We had so-called allies, you know what I mean? And now look at where we at. We on the island of our own, realizing that everybody fucking used us. But if you was a study of history before civil rights, you would have realized that we been knew that. That even when we was working with the Japanese in World War II, but they was focused on imperialism. They didn't really care about ending colonialism or white supremacy for Black America. They was focused on Pan-Asianism. You know what I mean? And they wanted power, and they just seen the rise of white America as a threat to their power. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we took our eyes off the real focus. We started focusing on civil rights, right? Thinking that that was going to be our integration in this country to be seen as equal or whole, demonstrated citizens in this country. It was never going to happen. The moment we took our mind off the fight of being white supremacy and building our own, we lost.
You said took our mind off of white supremacy
We
and
stopped
built.
looking at white supremacy as the ultimate enemy. We
Oh,
just
that
saying,
part. Yeah, 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 yeah,
let's get civil
yeah,
rights and let's integrate within and see how we can work within the system. So
yeah.
the movement of our radical tradition had disappeared,
Or
right?
dissipated. Yes.
Where there was the W.E. Du Bois versus the Thurgood Marshalls versus the Marcus Garvey versus the Elijah thinking. There was always these different right thought tanks that had equal measure of influence in Black America, and then the civil rights had a disproportionate amount of influence over what we considered right our fight was. And then that's when
Right.
we lost because we integrated instead of taking the other branches of strategy and funding them and pushing those. So now this generation only knows the history of the civil rights and only know bits and pieces of what Malcolm life was through movie or autobiography.
All right. Let me tap my brother in, smart guy here. He's eager to get involved in this chat. Also wanted to say that, this is what Aleister Crowley was speaking about this in the 50s or the 60s. I got to get the date specific, but he said that he was going to infiltrate America through quote unquote culture, right?
Yeah.
And the culture that he was speaking about was entertainment. And he said that, we can infiltrate them and impact the youth in particular. He said, I don't want the grown folk. Let me go to the youth, and I'm going
Hmm.
to introduce them through, he said, alcoholism, through cocaine and things of that nature, the music that they love, to these particular ideals, do as thou wilt, these concepts and these terms where they wanted to erode at structure or order in society. And unfortunately, this structure and this order in this society is built on Christian values, right? So I said, traditionally, as melanated people, we would be looked at more so as conservative. And that was based on the fact that 85% of melanated people identify as Christians. Now, don't
Mm.
take that up with me. I'm just saying that these are the statistics. And this is where these particular values have been instilled from. So going forward, if people have abandoned religion, right, for spirituality, all these a lot of other things that they are attempting to acclimate themselves to, right? Where do they get their values from if it's not from an orderly system?
Yo, Blue, you can hear me, Blue?
Yes, sir.
All right, peace, peace.
Sure.
19, peace.
Peace, peace.
Look, all right, so here's the thing, right? I went to like, I've been doing like a lot of, going to the Jewish synagogues and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
And can we all agree that the Holocaust has been over around 1947?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say less than 100 years, right? Like
Less than 100.
less than 100, less than
Yes.
100 years, and they were able to, build, monopolize, enterprise, et cetera, right? And I don't see a lot of so-called Jews advocating for the government. So my opinion is, how can we get it to where we know the history? Fuck Donald Trump, fuck Kamala, right? Everybody, we know that a president doesn't do shit, right? And a lot of people only appeal to the interests of the party and not the interests of the people, right? And because we don't have any institutions in place, right? How do we now um, focus solely on acquiring what we need separate from government? Saying like, okay, look, we're only it seems like we're the only group of oppressed people still living in the land of our Holocaust, expecting the people who put us in the Holocaust to take us out of the Holocaust, right? When the so-called Jews had to leave Germany. So if America is in part maybe our Germany, why aren't we focusing on dual citizenship, building, developing Africa, right? I'm not gonna be long-winded. I just wanted to kind of like hear 19's opinion on this and yours too, Blue. Um, how do we move from saying, okay, we don't want nothing to do with the government? Every black man that has a voice, every black man that has a platform, how do we now create a consistent conversation where we can reinforce the mindset and inspiration needed to apply a plan of independence, right? Because I'm ready to fight. I got a lot of followers, a lot of people that's tuning into my message and they reaching out. I know a lot of brothers that's willing to fight, right? And a lot of sisters who are willing to build and invest. How do we now create an actual plan for our elevation, goals and deadlines, right? I'm not a part of the bourgeois. I'm not a part of none of this shit.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not part of the, no disrespect to nobody what they rep. I'm just for black people. Okay? So how do we now say, okay, look, we got 6 months, right? 6 months or 7 months, right? We can do things 7 months at a time. We got 7 months to build this amount of institutions, this amount of hospitals, this amount
I
of
mean,
schools.
yeah. We first of all, we don't want to give it a deadline or a timeline like that, 6 or 7 months. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to take meticulous planning involved and then execution. So you want to give yourself just a little bit more time,
Blue.
right?
Listen, Blue. But humor me. You know, you my brother. We go way back, right?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying is this. Let me. You know. I preach this all the time, right? Mindset, right? Like how you think
Yes, sir.
creates how you feel. How you feel becomes an emotion. That emotion becomes a vibration. That vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Well, I'm a
Yes, sir.
God. I'm the father of civilization. I'm the scientist of life, right? I'm the original man. So if Kemet was built by me, if I'm the father of psychology, I don't think it'd be hard for me to get a building or institution built in 6 or 7 months. And what I'm saying is just for a hypothetical conversation, how can we now say, okay, what do we want? Right?
Right.
What do we want? Not saying from government. I'm talking about what do we want?
Right.
And saying like, okay, six to
Goals.
seven months. How can we
Right.
build this in 7 months? Now look, there's more. Now look, I just opened up 5 grocery stores in Harlem,
Yes.
right? And now grocery stores produce between $75,000 and $300,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next grocery store we about to open up is in 2 weeks, and we got 15 investors. Everybody's putting in 2 grand a piece. Okay, and then that's the deli, and then we pay out as the money comes in. It only takes a deli 5 days to turn a profit. I'm talking about as soon as the lights come on, it's turning a profit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, how do we say like, okay, how do we say like, what do we need, and then how do we set an aggressive goal? Because we've been hearing, I've read some of the comments, right? I'm outside and I'm on the pavement, right? how many how many leaders let our people down? We know about Malcolm, we know about Muhammad, we know about Marcus Garvey, we know about all this shit, right? How do we now say, I don't want to become like those people that I despise, that's making promises and not fulfilling them? So I'm trying my best to partner up with you, partner up with my brother 19. And let me tell you something. I'm gonna say it publicly, right? I apologize, and I'm glad, I apologize, because I said some things about my brother 19 in a couple interviews that I said out of frustration, and I regret it. And I think it's important that we show unity, and we show, even if we disagree, we still have a common connection. So I want to say publicly, brother, I respect what you do, man. I
Salute.
love you for the sake of our people, and I was wrong for what I said, and I definitely apologize.
Man, we had that conversation offline, and we talked about this. That was about what, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
And I believe, number one, your spirit. First of all, I accept that. I appreciate